Ever heard of the lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say.
Welcome to Bastion, a game that stands out as being something different from pretty much everything else I've seen lately, in a way that demonstrates how a game is much more than the sum of its parts, even when those parts are pretty amazing in their own right.
Proper story is supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
Imagine waking up one day to witness the world falling apart right before your eyes. No, I don't mean this as a commentary on society, or in the way that would be true of any one of a number of post-apocalyptic games, but rather that the world in Bastion is literally falling apart beneath your feet, and quickly. When you make it to the Bastion, the sanctuary for the Ceylondian people, your people, in the event of something like this, the truth dawns on you. There is only one other survivor.
Sure enough, he finds another.
This would be Rux, also known as the Stranger and the narrator of your adventure, but more on that later. Rux tells you that the Bastion has another function. It can restore everything, if only you'll go out and find the remaining cores that are scattered about in what little of the world survived this destruction known as the Calamity. And so you set out on a mission to make things right, visiting such locales as the remnants of Ceylondia, the beautiful but deadly wilds, and the tunnels that the Ura, the people with whom the Ceylondians maintained an uneasy peace, call their home.
The hard way. Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags.
Of course, things are never so easy that you can just waltz into an area and grab what you need. No, instead you have to fight your way through legions of enemies, dictated by what part of the world you're in, utilizing a variety of weapons that can do all sorts of things. Early on, basically when you're in Ceylondia, you'll face various haywire security turrets and windbags, a sort of creature that was a worker prior to the Calamity. The latter come in all forms, from tiny little guys that get spat out of spawners, to medium-sized guys with hammers and attacks so large that they can actually destroy part of the world that they hit, to the giant ones that charge and leave toxic goo behind in their path. Out in the wild, you've got a variety of flowers that are only weak when they open up to spew their poison gas, pincushions that fire off spikes at you, armored lunkheads, flying peckers, and the deadly ankle gators. The Ur are the deadliest though, coming in several varieties that include melee and ranged, with both seeming to teleport across the screen, making them very difficult to combat.
Seems even stinkweeds know to stay away from the Queen of Inharmony.
These enemies can be a problem, but having the right weapons and skills tend to help. There are over a dozen of them too, which means you'll have to decide what 2 weapons you want to keep with you, as well as 1 special skill, some of which require a specific weapon to function. In the melee category, there are things like the well-balanced Kale Hammer, the Brusher's Pike with its long reach and ability to be thrown for range damage, and the very fast but short War Machete, which can also be tossed to those pesky ranged enemies. For a ranged weapon, there are the fast dueling pistols, the rifle-like Fang Repeater that cannot be fired while moving, the shotgun-like Scrap Musket, the deadly accurate and power shot capable Breaker's Bow, and the powerful but sadly inaccurate unless charged up Army Carbine. Then, in the awesome category, you've got things like the rocket-launching Calamity Cannon, the explosive Galleon Mortar, or the flame-spitting Flame Bellows. Also, there's the Bullhead Shield, in case you want to avoid damage or just reflect it back at your enemies with a well-timed block.
The security takes him for a petty thief. Clang! Shield saves his hide.
To make things even more interesting, every weapon can be upgraded, up to 5 times, by going to the Forge, one of the special buildings found in the Bastion between levels. All you need is the correct special item, found in the various levels in weapon-specific trial grounds, or purchased in the store, another building in the Bastion, as well as enough of the game's currency, and you can unlock such fine upgrades as making the Brusher's Pike armor piercing, extending the clip size of the Fang repeater and making all your shots home in on targets, make your dueling pistol bullets cause knockback, or making it so the Calamity Cannon doesn't fire until you release the trigger, rather than the default as soon as it's charged. There are a total of 5 levels of upgrades for each weapon, and at each level there are 2 upgrades to choose from. So you'll have to make choices like more ammo or faster reloading, or having your arrows do more damage or damage over time. If you don't like the way things pan out with a particular setup, you can return to the Forge anytime you're in the Bastion and swap out the upgrades for something else, or just head to the Arsenal and get an entirely new weapon combination and secret skill altogether.
Well, that's enough of that.
All these possibilities make for some great combat. The battlefields can be tight, destructible, and filled with anything from stationary turrets with rapid fire capability, or to others that leave an area uninhabitable by their poison gas. Or maybe you'll just get swarmed with squirts. Mix in the weapon choices, and you may find yourself struggling to get enough room to fire off your Galleon mortar, or close enough to use your war machete. But if this still isn't enough for you, you can always go back to the Bastion, to the Shrine, and activate idols to the old gods. Each idol offers a reward in terms of more XP and currency, but at the trade-off of changing enemy behavior, like increasing their damage, making them drop a grenade on death, or preventing enemies from dropping health or black tonics, the latter of which is required to use your secret skill. There are a total of 10 idols, and they are just one more way in which you can fine-tune the game to be the experience you want it to be.
And old, keep fighting for the fort. And that's why Cinderbrick's got such a bad reputation.
So I've mentioned these buildings back in the Bastion several times so far. There are a total of 6 buildings that you'll be able to place around the Bastion as you complete levels, and eventually upgrade to unlock even more abilities. You've got the Arsenal, where you select what weapons and secret skill you want to use. The Forge is used to upgrade weapons. The Lost and Found is the store where you can pick up items you may have missed during the campaign, since once you finish a level, there is no going back to find anything you might have missed. The Shrine is where you unlock idols, and the Memorial, which consists of various in-game achievements that reward you with more XP and currency. The final building is another important one, known as the Distillery, and it's the reason XP matters in this game. As you level up, you unlock 1 slot per level for a Spirit, a special tonic that augments your character in a similar way to how idols augment enemies. Leech Aid will allow you to gain health by attacking, but also makes health tonics less effective. Bull Brandy increases your damage resistance. Stabsynth will make it so you automatically deal damage to anyone that attacks you. With 20 different spirits and only 10 slots once you reach the max level, this is yet another way in which you can tailor the game to the experience you want to have.
Takes a chunk of alloy. Smell of barley and spoiled blueberries fills the air. Scumbag.
So you've got some great combat in Bastion, altered by the idols, spirits, weapons, and secret skills you use. All this is well and good, since it's the gameplay of Bastion. But there are also a couple of other things that make the game so good. Those would be the art, sound, and, of course, the narration. The art, well, you've seen that by now. The sound you've caught some of as well, but let me just say it's worth it to pick up the soundtrack.
There, the kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? Yeah, that's the one.
Then there is the narration, which is probably what this game is best known for, and there are a couple of reasons why. Of course, there is the voice itself, which is well done, but frankly, I'm far more interested in the dynamic nature of it. Smash the ash figure of a man that didn't survive the calamity, and the narrator would tell you he always wanted his ashes scattered. While fleeing a collapsing area, if you don't bother to slow down and fight, the narrator talks about that, Just start smashing things, and he says that you're raging. There are even different quips depending on what items you have equipped, like your weapons.
Kid's ready to get real personal with hammer and musket in hand. We could have a fine old cookout with that stuff. Too bad that's not the plan.
Furthermore, adding to this dynamicness, even things like restarting a level multiple times isn't guaranteed that the same thing will be said, keeping things fresh.
Now here's what really happened in the Hanging Gardens. The dead welcome him with open arms. The calamity took everybody after all.
So that's Bastion in a rather long nutshell. Set out to save the world by bringing it back, uncover the truth about what caused the calamity, and make some important choices about where the world goes from here. Too easy? Well, just add in some idols, try a different weapon combination, or mix up your equipped spirits for a different experience. For more story, as well as a place to grind up more XP and currency, you can always head to the Dreams, found by interacting with various items in the Bastion, and learn more about the kid, the stranger, and the other characters in the game. If you still want more, there is always a New Game Plus, as well as a score attack mode and online leaderboard so you can compare how you did to others. All in all, expect about 10 hours of an experience that's worth the full price of $15, though the game has been on sale for $3 to $4 several times, as well as featured in a few humble bundles, so you can get it for less if you're patient. Also consider the soundtrack, since that is just another part of what makes Bastion a 10 out of 10.
But then, all they got was more thankless work from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the Bastion, but the kid made them real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would.